Welcome, everybody. My name is Nefertiti Ankra. I'm an attorney with the Legal Aid Society. It is a pleasure for all of you to be here today. We have our esteemed panel here. And first, I just want to say, Fannie Lou Hamer is a hero of mine, and she fought for civil rights and justice. And all of us, my colleagues, all of us at the Legal Aid Society, we continuously fight the good fight, and we fight for social justice. And the Legal Aid Society is the largest and oldest private non-for-profit law firm that helps poor, underserved people here in New York City. It is a great pleasure to have you here, and you'll be able to interact and mingle with us. And I just want to take about 30 seconds just for us to breathe. I know that today is Monday, and a lot of crazy things are happening in the world, our current political climate. So I just want everyone, if you would just bear with me for 30 seconds, put your hands on your thighs and have your feet firmly in the ground. Sit straight and just close your eyes. Yes. Breathe in deeply. And as you exhale, let all of the day's stresses and stressors and all the negativity just exhale out with you. And just feel connected to all of us in this room. We're all here, fighting for social justice and love and light and peace. Just think of love and light and peace as you breathe in and out. Thank you. You can open your eyes. So first, I want to say a huge thank you to Deborah Weiss and Plimpton, to Pauline Ford. Thank you so much for making this possible today. Thank you to our recruitment director and communications director, Barathi Naramuchi, who's here somewhere. Thank you. To Burnett Carway Spruill, and she's in the corner. If any of the law students here, if you have any questions about applications or internship or entry-level applications, you see her in the corner over there. Thank you to Jason Smallwood, Mariah Milford, Gino Moore for helping set up. And Femi Disu Oakley is here somewhere. She's our Director of Diversity. Thank you. I am a BALA rep, that's our Black Attorneys of Legal Aid, and our main rep, Kwesi Dash, is there. Everybody. Yes, the LGBTQIA rep, Jason Wu and Jared Trujillo. And ACLA, Attorneys of Color of Legal Aid, Jane Sampure and Adan Soltran. Okay. All right. And a lot of us are members of multiple caucuses, not just one caucus. I myself, I'm a member of all three of them. So at this point, I just want to introduce our panel. Okay. We have Seymour James Jr., who is the Attorney-in-Chief of the Legal Aid Society. Justine Luongo, who is the attorney in charge of our criminal practice. Tamara Steckler, attorney in charge of our juvenile rights practice and our chief administrative officer. And Adrienne Holder, attorney in charge of our civil practice. And we have Brent Taylor, who is here, our union. He is amazing. Everyone is amazing. Everyone on the panel.
That's all right. You know, great. We know. That's all right. You just managed.
Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to our panel now, beginning with Mr. James.
Good evening. It's really wonderful to see you all this evening. I'm going to be very brief because I think you'd rather hear from the people who are actually in the practices. But I just want to tell you, I've been in the Legal Aid Society 43 years. So I think that's a testament to the type of place it is to work. There's a terrific camaraderie here. When I first came to the Legal Aid Society, I found myself learning every minute of the day. And the collaboration between the attorneys and the support personnel was just phenomenal. What I would like to remind you is that many of you have probably heard this, but you cannot get a better experience anywhere than at the Legal Aid Society. as a law student coming in as an intern, you're actually going to be able to work with lawyers who are directly interacting with clients. And you will get a first-hand view of what it is to represent an individual and to assist with their ad representation. And you will find that the work that you do can actually have an impact upon that person's case and ultimately their life. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the rest of the panel who will actually talk to you about the work within the practices, and I look forward to seeing you in the breakout rooms where you'll actually have an opportunity to discuss in further detail the practices of the Legal Aid Society. Tina?
Hi, I'm Tina Longo. I'm the attorney in charge of the criminal defense practice, and so we are the largest public defender and this city's primary public defender for over about 250,000 New Yorkers who find themselves in the perils and clutches of a very broken criminal justice system, whether it be trial practice to appellate practice, to our prisoners' rights practice, special litigation that does law reform and advocacy, to our community justice unit every single day, either in the courts throughout this city or in communities that we service. We're taking on the fight to ensure that we are taking on things like mass incarceration and closing Rikers. We are taking on the issues that affect our litigation strategies like discovery, bail reform, speedy trial. We're looking at ways in which to sort of fight back systems by directly representing that human being that stands next to us and reminding the system and the stakeholders that sort of systematize our clients that in fact these are human beings that we represent, and a large majority, if not all of them, from Black and brown communities that are over-policed and under-resourced for decades. So, with that in mind, if you want to join us, what we ask you to do is have a passion to push the envelope. And what does that mean? That means in every single thing you're doing now in law school, see it from the lens of how is this system affecting the other systems? People we are dealing with, we are working with in the criminal justice system often have so many other obstacles in their lives that that our colleagues either in juvenile rights practice or the civil practice are dealing with far before there's an arrest. And sometimes that criminal case is the last thing on somebody's mind because they don't know where their next home or meal is. So please, when you go into the rooms, I unfortunately have to dash out like right after I shut up. So my apologies to all of you in the practice. I have to get to another event, but there are incredible public defenders in this room that will answer questions. And if you want my phone number, just ask anybody for it. Feel free, they'll give it to you. Thanks.
She wasn't kidding. I wasn't kidding. Bye.
Sorry.
Have a good time. Dawn Mitchell, come on up here and take Tina's chair for a minute. Yes, good idea. So I currently have two jobs, the Chief Operating Officer of the Legal Aid Society, and for the past 12 years I've been running the juvenile rights practice. And I'm really happy to say that as of Monday, yes, 1 week from today, I will only have one job, and Dawn Mitchell will be the attorney in charge of the juvenile rights practice. So there's many, many things that are exciting about Dawn being in charge, but I will say in the history of JRP, which used to be JRD, but JRP, Dawn is the first person of color who is actually in charge of the juvenile rights practice, and that is huge. And she worked her way up from a staff attorney to a line manager to a deputy to the ASC of a borough, and is now going to take on the top job, and we're totally incredibly excited to have her in that position. So I'm actually going to let her give you the pitch for JRP. This is sort of her first official duty in her new role, and I sort of threw her into it, but I know she can do it because I've heard her do it.
Of course. I like to say that I've been hazed before, if anybody knows what that means. But I welcome the opportunity to speak about a role and responsibility that I'm very passionate about. As Tammy mentioned, I've been at JRP for quite a while. I know I look young, but I've been there now for 20 years. And from the very beginning, I walked in the door knowing that the client that I wanted to serve looked like me, had the same commitment and role and responsibility in the community that I had. And the role that I took on for the past 20 years has really been about direct representation of the youth in this city. And that's what the attorneys and social workers and paralegals and investigators do in the juvenile rights practice every day. We represent, I believe it's approximately 90% of the children that are interfacing with the juvenile justice system and the child welfare system in the city. We are also advocating for better educational services through our EAP services. We have specialized attorneys who do trauma advocacy work, and they're working with kids who've been impacted by the most serious abuse cases and are brought into the family court system. We are also representing children who've been arrested, and you can only imagine that's a scary place to be for, oh, I'm getting a signal about time. Wow. That's a scary place to be, but one of the wonderful highlights about the work that we do is that every individual that comes in, whether they're an intern, and I want to encourage, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the room, has an opportunity to really impact each client on a sometimes very small level. Sometimes we're just trying to make sure that they have a safe place to live. Sometimes we just want them to have the best educational services they can get. And most times we're in court fighting for every issue that our clients have asked us to fight for. So we'll talk a little bit more in the rooms. There are some folks here from JRP, some managers here that will also share their experiences and their stories, and I welcome the opportunity to talk to all of you.
I just want to point out, Dodd, can you raise your hand? Dodd Terry and Grace Park. So there's two managers who from Brooklyn and Manhattan in JRP. So if you want to ask questions of Dawn, myself, or either one of them, feel free to reach out. Thank you, Dawn, for doing my job.
All right, so how much time I have?
You have 1 minute now.
Huh? 2.5 minutes. Okay, let me make this quick. So I'm Adrienne Holder. I'm the attorney in charge of the civil practice of the Legal Aid Society, and what you just heard in terms of the lineup that just came up is you are in the presence of this great law firm that basically represents an entire family or an entire community. We do it with a high volume direct legal services caseload. And from that caseload, we're able to look at any type of systemic issues or trends that we think we'd like to address through affirmative litigation or class action impact litigation. We engage in policy and legislative advocacy, and we believe in community outreach and education. If you do not want to walk in the very neighborhoods of the places that we actually represent, then you do not belong here. You can leave now. We are, I'm sorry, am I wrong? Don't take that on my time. So the civil practice, we do everything else, right? So we do immigration and housing and healthcare and homelessness and HIV/AIDS, and we have a law reform unit, family DV. There's really education law, disability, government benefits. There's really not much we don't do. We have a tax law unit, consumer practice. The supervisor's here, so I'd be remiss not to mention that. Yeah, hey, Siobhan. And a community development project. We're very, very proud of all the work that we do. But I think what's really exciting is knowing that you could easily belong to a place where when the going gets tough, that's actually when we're at our best. So even in this past year at the Legal Aid Society, through our litigation called Tejada, we actually, from litigation that started in the 80s, we finally brought to culmination, we actually developed a very comprehensive and far-reaching housing subsidy program called FEPS. We did that, the Legal Aid Society. The Legal Aid Society, with class action litigation and the Homeless Rights Unit, has developed a right to shelter in New York, and just this year we made the city make sure that they offer more beds as well as subsidies for folks who are homeless. We did that. The Legal Aid Society did that. The Legal Aid Society also not only was at JFK when the Muslim travel ban was in effect, but it was the Legal Aid Society in less than 24 hours that established a hotline that was then first established and staffed by Nefertiti and our Community Development Project, but also then began to be serviced by 7 law firms throughout the city. And we have gotten calls from all over the world with people who were concerned about their rights. We're the Legal Aid Society, and we make things happen. And in this day and age, and with the things that are going on, you would want to be here to be able to join us to make those things happen. So I ask that you do one thing today, and I know my 30 seconds is dwindling down, but really quickly. Go, and some of you may have it in your mind that you just are really interested in working in the civil practice, but I'm telling you, you want to go and check out all 3 practices. When I was coming out of law school, I interviewed for all 3 practices because I wanted to work here, and you do want to work here. There's exciting things that are going on here. And remember, in New York City, the good and the bad, it all starts here, but at the Legal Aid Society, you can make sure it starts and it works out to the best of our clients.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Brent Taylor. I'm the Secretary-Treasurer of the Association of Legal Aid Attorneys. I want to really thank all the caucuses that are a part of our union for putting this together. The Attorneys of Color Caucus, which has been a long-serving caucus that's been very active in our union, as well as the LGBTQ Caucus, of which I'm a member, and the Black Attorneys at Legal Aid, the BALA Caucus. So to give you some background, we are a local of the United Auto Workers. We're local 2325, the Association of Legal Aid Attorneys, and we represent almost 1,200 lawyers, not just here at the Legal Aid Society, but also at the Federal Defenders of the Southern and Eastern Districts, Orange County, and also the public defenders out in Nassau County. And I should also add Youth Represent, which is a small office of 8 attorneys and staff that we just organized a few months ago. So we are growing, and I think that's another thing that really makes legal aid unique, is that when you come to legal aid, you're not just a part of the Legal Aid Society doing all the amazing things that you just heard about, but you're also a member of a union and a community that looks out for each other and that was really founded based on fighting for our clients. Our union was founded all the way back in 1969, when the Legal Aid Society was a very, very different place, when our lawyers had piles and piles of files dumped on them every day. They didn't have a chance to meet their clients, and it really wasn't the kind of practice that our lawyers thought that our clients deserved. So together, our lawyers came together in 1969 and became a union, and ever since then, we've fought to make the Legal Aid Society a better workplace, to represent each other, and to make sure that diversity and inclusion and a place for all of our lawyers and workers to come together is something that's really, really important to us. So when you join legal aid, you're not just joining legal aid, you're also, you have the opportunity to join us as a union. So again, it's advocating for our clients, and something else we can do is we advocate politically. We'll be out there on the front lines when there are elections. We will fight the Trump agenda. We lobby, and there are so many opportunities to get involved, not just with our union at Legal Aid and in the city, but lobbying in Albany and in Washington to really help make changes system-wide. So welcome, thank you, and if you have any questions about the union, feel free to ask me.
Thank you to our panel. Before we begin the breakout sessions, I want to call up the leaders of the caucuses to say a few words. So Jane, Kwesi, and Jason. Zamir, you're a rep as well.
Good evening, everyone. Jane Sampier. I'm not going to speak too long. I just want to say thank you all for coming out. This is a wonderful event in which we're able to kind of give insight to law students as to what it is that we do on the very daily basis. I hope after this evening, you guys all think very strongly about submitting applications to intern here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Jane Sampure. You can get my contact from me when you see me in the breakout sessions. But welcome everyone, and thank you for coming.
Hi, I'm Adan Sotreng. I'm also in ACLA rep. I'm not going to take too long. I just wanted to echo some of what Jane had said. I'm looking forward to meeting you all. If you have any questions about the civil practice, you can certainly come and ask me. I also want to highlight something that Adrienne had mentioned before. We are definitely looking for people who are really committed and about this work and about the community. And so I'm interested in learning a lot about what you guys, what your involvement may be and what your ideas and new innovative ways you'll be helping our clients hopefully in the near future will be. So welcome, thanks for coming out.
I'm Jared Trujillo. I am one of the LGBTQ caucus representatives, and I'm also a member of all three caucuses. Again, I'll also be quick and brief, but our caucus is something that I am incredibly proud of. We are 79 members strong, but mighty. We do a lot of really great work on behalf of our clients, and the Legal Aid Society is a really great place for you to come if you want to do advocacy on behalf of our client population, particularly LGBTQ people. While no place is perfect, it is a good place to work as an LGBTQ person. Most recently, the Legal Aid Society became one of the few public interest organizations that gives adoption and fertility assistance to all folks, particularly members of our community, and that's something that we certainly applaud management for. So I'll be around. I'm a floater today, so I'll be around the hallways, in the JRP or criminal room, and I'm more than happy to speak to any and all of you. Welcome.
So I'm Jason Wu. I'm the other LGBT caucus rep, and I agree with what everyone else said, so welcome. I'm going to have to leave the event early as well, but I'll leave a stack of my business cards in the civil practice room, so if anyone wants to get in touch with me with any questions, feel free to reach out to me as well.
Hello again. Thank you all. Appreciate that. I'm Kwesi Dash. I am the head of BALA, the Black Attorneys of Legal Aid Caucus. Nefertiti Ankra is also a rep, as well as Zamir, who has nominated me to speak solely. Zamir, introduce yourself at least, Zamir.
Hi folks, Zamir Ben Dan. I am an alternate rep with the Black Attorneys of Legal Aid Caucus.
Zamir, happy to see everyone here. Look forward to speaking with you all. As has been said, I'm going to echo, legal aid is a great place to work. There are a lot of dynamic attorneys in the room, and everything that happens, the principles of progressiveness and inclusion and diversity are things that are driven by the people that are in legal aid, right? So it's important that you engage us. There's a lot that we can offer in terms of information and insight into what you will be signing up for, right, as Adrienne pointed out. Also, legal aid, like any other organization, is a microcosm, right, of the larger world. So these caucuses are necessary. I'm a member of all three as well, all three caucuses, to ensure that we keep the organization at the forefront of diversity and inclusion, as well as the litigation that we do on behalf of our clients. So I'm excited to be here. I'm happy to see you all, and welcome, and thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to our breakout rooms now. Just before we leave, I just wanted to leave this quote. I said before that Fannie Lou Hamer is my shero, and there's a quote of hers that nobody is free until everybody is free. And the Legal Aid Society is very much an all hands on deck, all of us together working towards social justice. I echo the sentiments of what everyone has said here. So again, welcome. I believe the criminal and JRP breakout rooms will be at the end of the hall to your right, and civil will be over here to your left. So thank you. Thank you.